your girls, grab your beers.
Hey everybody, this is Charlie from Anthrax, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle.
This is Mark Metcalf, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio.
You are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio. Yes, Kato Kalin listens to this all the time. Welcome to today's Boondoggle. Now here's your host.
I am Monty Heath, so one Heath, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle.
Hey, what's up? It's John from Skillet, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle on Domain Cleveland Radio.
Fasten your seatbelts.
Incarceration Music and Tattoo Festival is back July 14th through 16th at Ohio State Reformatory with Slipknot, Limp Bizkit, Pantera, plus Full Beat, Megadeth, Lamb of God, In This Moment, Highly Suspect, and more. Hurry and get passes now at incarceration.com. Incarceration.
So come and get it, get it.
What's going on, everybody? It's Bill Bailey with today's Boondoggle. And real quick housekeeping note, if you're watching us on YouTube or Rumble or Odyssey or BitChute, please hit that follow, subscribe button. And if you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple, Google, Spreaker, any of the podcast platforms, please hit that follow and subscribe button. Help us to build up our numbers to continue to bring you conversations like the one I'm about to have today with fellow veteran and musician Esteban Alvarez. How you doing, man?
What's up, Bill? Man, it's so good to be here, man. Really appreciate you having me on the show.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to this. Like I was saying, I had your bandmate Opus on, and we did a lot of had a pretty good conversation, and then he kept telling me, he's like, man, you really want to get deep, you got to get Esteban in here. So I'm like, all right, man, make it happen. So I'm glad we were able to make this work out today. Usually then when I have somebody on for the first time, I like to go back though and get a background, especially with veterans and everything. But do you remember originally, what did you want to be when you grew up?
When I was a child, like probably all the way up until about the age of 10. Yeah, about 10 years old. I wanted to be like a pro football player. I was so enamored by the NFL, and like I knew every player, and I was into like professional wrestling. So like, seeing these large guys, as athletes and shit like that, I was like, wow, like these guys are really kind of like my heroes. And then like when I started like coming out of the age of 10, going into like, pubescent and adolescence, my dad, he served in the military, and I started like looking out through a lot of his stuff and things like that. And then by 12 years old, my mind was set. I was going into the military.
Oh, nice. And then, so like, yeah, at 9, 10 years old, you kind of had decided that was what you wanted to pursue. When was it where you were like, okay, I'm definitely committed, and what helped you decide on what branch you wanted to serve in?
Well, I knew even going into high school, freshman year, I mean, my best friend that I'm still friends with, he's the godfather of my kid, Alex. He will tell everybody that we talk to. They're like, oh, when he overhears somebody ask me the same question, like, how long did you ever want to be a soldier? He always pipes in. He's like, this motherfucker's been wanting to be a soldier since I've known him. So like freshman year of high school, I knew immediately. I was like, boom, I'm doing this one way or another. I'm going to go into the military. So like at first, you're juggling a bunch of things. And I was like, well, I want to be a fighter pilot. Maybe I'll be a fighter pilot. And then that was like my main thing. I was like, damn, I want to be a fighter pilot. I was in love with the movie Top Gun too. So I'm like looking at F-14s and shit. I'm like, ooh, this looks cool. This looks cool. until I was about 12 years old and I got on my first roller coaster. I was like, this G-force shit sucks. So that kind of like changed my mind a little bit moving forward. So I was like, you know what? I still want to kind of be a pilot, but, you know, let me see what other options I'd go with. So as that started to progress, I started getting into my mind, like, you know, maybe what about combat engineers, you know, do something like that in a branch of service somewhere, or maybe like, you know, maybe some of the UDT guys in the Navy, you know, underwater demolitions, for those who are, for the virgins that are listening. Are we allowed to say the virgin word anymore or no?
Yeah. I mean, we already said motherfucker, so let's just go for it.
So yeah, it was like, you know, I kept toying around with the idea. And when I was in junior year, I don't know if they still have the DEP program, the delayed entry program now, but
yeah, that's what I went through.
Yeah, back in '97, you know, I started, you know, when I was a junior, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try this, and I originally took the test for the Marine Corps. Now, mind you, my father, he's no longer with us, but my father was with 7th Group ODA, and my father was in the Special Forces for a long time. So my father never like corralled me into like a branch of service or what have you. He just told me like, hey, you know, this is what to expect if you go. So he never really like told me like, hey, this is, you know, you should do X, Y, Z. So I originally talked to a Marine recruiter, took the test for the ASVAB, fucking scored great. I think I got like an 81 on my ASVAB, and I wound up going to MEPS, Military Entrance Processing Station up at Springfield, and did every bit of the medical, the duck walk, you know what I mean, the check your nads, all that shit, and they brought me into this little room, you know, where all the other Marines were. And remember, they made you stick that little sticker on your chest, you know, the branch of service and your name, and it had your last four on it, so that everybody knew who the fuck you were.
Yeah, who owned you?
Yeah, exactly, right? So now, mind you, like I'll fast forward later in my career, why I know now why they don't put, I am one of the reasons why they don't sit the branches of service together anymore when they are in that fucking waiting room. You know the waiting room I'm talking about. They got the TVs. You're just waiting. You're doing their processing paperwork. So I wound up going into the Marines office, and you know, originally I was like, yo, I either want to do MP or I want to do infantry and follow my path towards, you know, recon, maybe, you know, divers, shit like that. Because I really liked the water at the time, and I'll tell you later why I don't like the water anymore. But the Marine was like, all right, cool, you know. And then he told me, he goes, well, guess what? We can only offer today, you can only really enlist for either motor T, transportation, and I forgot what other fucking jobs they were. It was like motor T, I want to say some kind of like medical branch, and then was admin or something like that. And I was like, I don't really want those. He's like, well, that's kind of what we're offering now. And, you know, if you're going to get these opportunities, blah, 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 for education, you know, you got to kind of take them now, you know, and you know how they pressure you.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was like, all right, well, I guess we'll do motor T. And he goes, all right, well, go sit back out there and we'll do some paperwork and we'll have you come back in and sign some stuff. This is how close I was. So I sat in the room and I look over and I'm sitting, I'm watching TV, and there's this guy next to me, and we start talking because he was like from a town over from me. And he had a, you know, an army tag on it, you know. And I was like, oh, so you're going in the army? I'm like, yeah, my dad was in the army. He's like, what do you sign up for? I'm like, I'm Marines. He goes, oh, cool. What job are you going to get? I'm like, I guess I'm going to do motor T. I was like, because that's what they have. I was like, I don't really want to do that. But the guy told me, like, as soon as I get MOSQ'd, you know how they tell you, as soon as you get qualified, you can apply to switch your qualifications, and it shouldn't be any problem, which is not even nearly the fucking truth. So then the guy's like, oh, shit. And I was like, why? What job are you going to be? This guy's like, well, I got a 82nd Airborne contract. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, man, infantry, I'm doing it all. I'm like, oh, no shit. I was like, that's fucking awesome. I'm like, yeah, I was like, I guess I got to take this job in order to get the education benefits. He's like, oh, yeah, I got those too. I'm like, fuck you. He's like, yeah, I got those too. And I'm like, all right. I was like, what else do you guys got? He's like, yo, I got a $20,000 bonus. I was like, that's it. I'm not fucking doing. I was getting no bonus, nothing. Yeah. I think they were offering me like a $3,500 bonus, and I'm like, nah, man. And I went and I knocked on the Marine's door, and I was like, so I was talking to that guy out there, and he's kind of getting what he wants. So I kind of want what I want. So the one thing my dad did tell me, he goes, don't walk out of there without getting what you want.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, we can't offer you that. We can offer you being a United States Marine. Is that not good enough for you to let it out? And I said, kind of not. And then those sons of bitches left me up there at MEPS.
No shit.
Yeah. And then I later found out when I went TDY working as a recruiter that they actually have the authorization that if you refuse to sign on the contract, they don't have to transport you back from MEPS.
Oh shit. So did you go talk to the Army guy immediately?
Fucking A. The next day I went back up to MEPS. The Army guy drove me home. The next day I spoke to the Army guy and I enlisted into the Army.
Nice.
And I got everything I wanted. I got infantry, I got my bonus and all that stuff. Because I said to myself, I was like, if I'm going to go, I'm not going to kind of do something half-assed. I'm just going to go do it. And I guess they said, hey, if you don't want to go to combat, join a leg infantry unit. They don't go. They're going to send the, 82nd Airborne first. They're going to send all these other guys first before you even hit the ground. I was like, all right, cool. And that's how the story went.
And then so you end up taking the Army, going that route. And then what would you say were some of the oddest things that coming out of, high school and the civilian world? What were some of the oddest things you experienced transitioning into the Army life?
Hearing motherfuckers for the first time with a deep South as accent. That tripped me the fuck out. I mean, I'm a city kid from New Britain, Connecticut. So it's like, I'm used to motherfuckers talking hood. And then, I see that, oh, what's going on, man? I'm like, what the fuck are you saying, dude? I don't fucking understand you. I couldn't get over the fact how some
King of the Hill and shit, right?
Oh, my God. Boomhauer motherfuckers. And I'm talking, it's not just the sound. They look it, too. Teeth are like this. They have the stereotypical, inbred kind of look. You're just like, oh, man, his eyes are really big. His facial features are weird. So, that was one of the oddest things. And also motherfuckers that are really dirty, motherfuckers that don't shower.
They're built for deployment. Yeah.
I'm like, God, this is
preparing their whole life.
This is fucking gross. But I mean, my dad kind of gave me a little bit of a rundown of how the drill sergeants were going to kind of treat me as an asshole. And I was an athlete in school anyway. So I was already used to kind of my coach riding us, you know what I mean? So I kind of already had the competitive mindset going in, and I did. And I also, at that time, was doing martial arts for maybe 4 or 5 years. So I kind of already had a disciplined mindset of just kind of, and I had a couple friends of mine that told me, they're like, yo, when you get there, just shut the fuck up. Just shut the fuck up. Don't say anything. Just find your battle buddy and only talk to him. Don't fucking talk to anyone else. And that I took that, dude, I swear to God, I took that to heart, and I didn't say a goddamn thing to anyone through 30th AG, through my entrance. I didn't talk to anyone outside of my battle buddy until 3 weeks in.
Wow.
My girlfriend didn't even know my fucking name.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, that going in with the background in athletics and stuff was definitely a game changer. Man, I'm grateful now for my friends that made me join the wrestling team with them. I was the class clown, joking around. I'm still a furthest thing from an athlete, but my buddies they liked having me around. I was good at parties and shit, but it's hey, we want to spend time. We want to laugh during the suck with you too. So it's I got the gallows humor. So they got me on the wrestling team, and wasn't friggin' great by no means, but I stuck it out, and that gave me the mentality to stick through some shitty stuff and got me physically ready to go into, boot camp and stuff like that. So that definitely makes a makes a difference, man.
Oh, for sure. I mean, even talking to guys like the first week when they're sore, guys like, I can barely fucking move. Like, things are hurting on me that I never knew existed. And you're just like, because you're already kind of in an athlete mindset, you know it's there, and you're still pushing through it. You're like, ah, fuck it, it's gonna be sore, but it'll be fine in a couple days. And these guys are like breaking down and wanting to quit, and you're just like, dude, it'll be fine in a couple days. Just stop being a pussy.
And then, I didn't get that advice that you got though about shutting your mouth. That class down shit kind of came with me. So not only did I have to, do the drills, the normal hour drills with my company, but I had to get up an hour early every day to go with I forget what they called it, the motivational group that had to do extra, hit on the out there. So, I mean, I came out looking pretty damn slim though, but it was,
they're always like, you can tell the guy that was the problem by how fit he is leaving basic training.
And it still didn't seem to help my mouth as time went on, but if you're able
probably
to
help make it worse.
yeah, exactly. But and then when you get through your training and everything, like, what would you say, without breaking OPSEC, were some of like the worst places that you had served at?
Hands down, Iraq. Afghanistan was pretty shitty. Went to South America a little bit and stuff like that too, but Iraq, I mean, in 04, 05 that was a really shitty situation. I mean, comparatively, we were in Fort Polk, Louisiana, getting ready to train up to get out of there. That place sucks. I don't give a fuck when anybody. That is like, out of any military base I ever been on, when they tell me like you were going, like anytime they said you were going to Fort Polk, I would just get chills and I would immediately get depressed. That place fucking sucks. But yeah, Iraq was probably the longest 16 months of my life.
Yeah. And then what would you say was the best place that you got to serve at?
West Point, New York. We got stationed over there with the 1st of the 1st Infantry, and we helped co-validate cadets as they were going through their validation through their ropes courses and things like that, and through their training lanes. So the cadets, like the first 2 years, they do a lot. I mean, they do some field work and stuff like that, but it's mainly like academic work and learning how to do, drill and ceremony and how to lead and things like that. And then junior year, they start getting branched into like some of their jobs. And then and then that's when they start taking them out to the field, like real field problems. And then that's when they used us a lot to validate them. And we were like cadre and stuff. And we trained there. It was awesome. It was a great place. It was close to home. It was only 2.5 hours away. I had an hour and a half if I was speeding. So, I mean, most of the time I wasn't even living up there. I was home. Like weekends, I would just tell my squad leader, like, hey, I'm out. I'm going to go home and be like, all right, cool. So it was a great, year and a half being there. It was awesome.
Nice. And then what would you say is one of your pet peeves that you have with the civilian sector since transitioning out of the military?
Shit. How much time do we have? Honestly, what fucking really upsets me is how blessed people are and they don't even fucking understand.
Yeah.
Like, it really, really, really gets under my skin when people really complain about first world problems. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people suffering in the world. There's a lot of soldiers suffering in the world. There's a lot of service members suffering in the world. There's a lot of just human suffering, period.
Yeah.
And I mean, especially now when you're around musicians and things like that and you're touring and things and, you talk to some other guys from other places and things like that. And you hear sometimes what they complain about, and I also work,
yeah,
I wouldn't even put what I do like for another job, but I'm around a lot of, people of, deeper into civilian sectors and things like that. And just hearing like their perspectives of the world and, like, oh my God, I was so stressed out because of X, Y, Z. And I'm like, do you understand like what the fuck's happening in the world right now? Like, people really put a lot of value into other people's opinion, and it doesn't really fucking matter, you know? And so that's kind of like my pet peeve, is like when people don't understand how blessed they really, really are.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that lack gratitude. You know?
For sure. Actually, yeah, that's the perfect word, dude. Total lack of gratitude. Like, what really pisses me off is people are like, oh, this fucking country sucks. Look, man. We may not be perfect, but we're still the fucking best.
Yeah. I mean, I can admit our flaws, far from perfect, but dude, have you been anywhere else? You know?
Seriously.
It's like they haven't even been out of their township half the time and they're bitching, you know?
Dude, and they always say, well, in the Netherlands, well, in Sweden, well, in this.
Like, have you been there?
Dude, their fucking population is like a fraction. You can't even put a fraction of what it is, their population compared to ours, dude. And I was just in Switzerland on tour over there, and it's fucking cold and it's super expensive. Dude, we went through towns in Switzerland where like the minimum cost of a home is $1 million. Who the fuck can live over there? So no wonder why it's peaceful. No wonder why they have order. No wonder why there's no fucking ghettos in Switzerland.
Yeah, no shit.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And you know, half of them are just reading what they read online. They haven't been there, you know, but I can't imagine, because I know, like, myself personally, like, I've been a, big fan of music for forever, been involved in my local music scene, used to be a concert promoter and stuff. And, love being involved with the music scene, but I had no talent, so I would book shows and stuff like that. But, you form these friendships and bonds, and then it blew my mind. Like, even long after being out of active duty and stuff, but the past, I don't know, like since 2020 on, it made me like question, like, was I ever really friends with these people? They really, like a lot of people coming out, and I can't imagine like touring and having to, having kind of tiptoe around, like, what am I allowed to say, because everybody's offended over every fucking thing these days. And the shit we would say to each other in uniform, people's minds would explode like scanners and shit.
Oh my God, dude. If people, that dude, I have to laugh out loud, because every year I get together in my platoon 3 times a year that I went to Iraq with for our guys that passed away. And I always tell everybody, I'm like, dude, if you ever want to hear ball breaking to an Olympic sport, and you ever want to be offended by literally just being present in the room, come around us. Because it is nothing but a fucking dogfight from minute 1 to the end.
Yeah. It'll put hair on your chest before you leave,
First you say, what's up? Oh, fuck you. Kiss my ass. All right. Well, I want to fuck your ass. And then the gay jokes start coming out, dude. It's like you feel physically dirty and mentally stressed.
You'll be dropping pronouns left and right.
Yeah.
But then, like, what is something that you feel that you'll always carry with you from your time of service?
The brotherhood, man. My brothers always, man. Like, we call each other regularly, check in on each other, especially with everything that's happening. I mean, unfortunately, I've lost a bunch by their own hands.
Yeah.
So, I mean, my father included. So, but it's like, I've been friends with many people, and I am friends with many people, and I am, really tight with a bunch of people, but I don't think I'm any tighter than with those guys. And I mean, it's like, there's some of those guys that, to be honest with you, like, I don't even really like. Does that make sense? Like, some of the guys in my platoon, I'm like, I don't call you on a regular basis. You're a fucking asshole, but I love you, dude. Like,
yeah,
call me in the middle of the night, dude, and I will drive wherever the fuck you are to go help you. You know,
exactly.
it's
Yeah.
such a weird. I can't describe that shit because it's like I said, like guys could hate each other, and it's like, come on, man, you want to go get something to eat? You know, it's really odd.
No, because I mean, we can empathize with each other now and feel like I don't know. There's like that, like you said, there's people that complain about first world problems, and then there's people that have experienced real shit. And even if you were an asshole, and I didn't like, I mean, I just had a reunion with people from my last deployment. Drove down to Dallas, Texas, and
love Texas.
Yeah, and you know, one of the guys, my brother Carlos Figueroa, man, we became brothers on our last deployment. You know, I didn't know him from nothing. You know, from Puerto Rico. You know, I call him Fig. He speaks Figlish. You know, but you know, we bonded on our last deployment. He's the one that actually got me into jiu-jitsu, which I want to get into with you as well. But you know, during our deployment, he had me. The Army was doing some at our base, and he was like, "Hey, man, I'm gonna go train. Come with me." You know, so that he planted the seed. But anyway, hadn't seen that dude since my welcome home party in 2009. You know, we kind of keep in touch on social media, and they just happened to plan the reunion in Dallas by where he lives. He's like, "Don't bother getting the hotel room. You're staying with me. Come on down." You know, he's been married now since. I mean, we off and on we'll message each other, but whatever. Dude, we show up, and it's just like I you know, it was just yesterday when he left my welcome home party. You know, like we hadn't missed a beat. You know, we're just grayer and heavier. You know, and it was awesome, man. It was just like it was great to spend time with them and reconnect and love them. And then we got together with some people from the deployment, and there was one dude was one of those guys I didn't like. But you know what? The dude came up and gave me a hug, was happy to see me, and I was happy to see him. And then we found where, you know, what life's been like since. And then there's certain things he's into that I'm kind of into, and we found common ground, you know.
That's all it is.
Like, yeah. And it was awesome, man. It was just exactly like you were saying, man. It's like we hadn't missed a beat, and you know, dude gave me his blue belt that he got from the Gracie dojo that he trained at and everything, because he saw I got promoted. He hasn't been doing it anymore, and he's just like, here, you know. I was like, wow, man, thank you.
That's great, dude. That's a big sentiment.
Yeah, but what do you what's, now that I know these are tough to narrow down, but what's like one of the funniest stories you feel you can share from your time of service?
Oh man. Shit. Trying to think. Oh my God. Now I had to go through the Rolodex to go through this one. All right, so this is going to kind of bleed OPSEC, but not bleed OPSEC. So I'll leave the names obscure, and I'll leave locations obscure. So this was 04. I want to say this is around July, or I want to say July of 2004. We were deployed to Iraq. And at this point, like, now, mind you, we got in there in March. So, you know, we're in there a few months already, and we've already seen some pretty gnarly shit. We've already been on some big time operations and things like that. And, you know, guys are at this point now, we're super high strung. So, you know, and being overseas, you know, the fuck whatever officers hearing this, and they know it too. We got alcohol mailed to us. Okay. So we and I mean, it wasn't just us, it's guys all over the place. It happened in Afghanistan, happened here, it doesn't matter. We got our hands on booze. So you know, we were between missions, you know, we had a couple days of what they call command maintenance days, and that's when you bring the vehicles in, they get maintenance, they get topped off. You know, if windows got shot out, you know, you change out the windows, all that shit. So you get about 2 to 3 days off to refit, rearm, and then we get ready to move back out onto full scale operations. So they do it by platoon. So obviously it's night one, and we're drinking and hitting it hard. One of my buddies wound up having his significant other mail over a 6-pack of waters. But the waters, if you twist them off, they were filled with gin. So we're hammering them down, having a good time. Well, 2 of the guys decided to go have a smoke break, and that's fine. It was already really late in the night. We're just like, all right, we're gonna go ahead and head to bed. Well, apparently there was 2 other buddies of mine that were in the room with them when they continued to have libations, and the idea came up: let's take a fucking vehicle and go on our own raid. And this is on all holy hand of God. Okay, that this happened, but it didn't happen. Okay?
Yeah.
These 4 assholes, mind you, I'm not even going to tell you where in Iraq, but we are in the Sunni triangle of Iraq. Okay? This is not a bullshit area. This is a real area. Okay? We had HESCO barriers all around our connexes, like in our trailer parks, dude. Like we got hit a lot. These 4 assholes decided to go ahead and grab a vehicle and start heading out. So 2 of the guys got chicken shit when they hit the wire, and they were like, no, we're going to go back. They're like, okay. So they hopped out of the vehicle and walked the click and a half, because where we were was kind of big. They walked the click and a half back to where we were. They didn't say shit. So apparently these guys went out into sector on their own. 1 vehicle. One guy drunk, 1 guy in the turret, 1 guy driving. They went out into sector on their own. Okay. The reason I know this is insane. I swear on my kids this happened. Okay. And it's unconfirmed how long these guys were actually out for. Okay. But it is confirmed how they were found. Okay. How they were found was they were out there so long. Now, mind you, they were in PTs. Okay. They were in their PT uniforms. They were out there so goddamn long. When they were coming back, they're still drunk. They were drinking while they were out there. They see another platoon that's going into the gate from patrol. So they're like, let's just go in with them. So, and at this point, it had already been I got woken the fuck up already because the vehicle was missing. The guard at the guard shack noticed the vehicle was missing. They were like, holy shit. And you know the way that is. Everybody's up. Commander's up. The entire company was up. And now we got 2 guys missing. So now they're like, holy fuck. Now we got MIAs. What the fuck's going on? I'm not even going to tell you what the rank of both of them were. That's going to even make it even more insane. But I will say they're E5s and E6s. Okay? Yeah. This story gets better. So, like, we spun up our vehicles. Everybody's getting in vehicles. That I'm getting questioned, like, where the fuck were they? Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, I don't fucking know. Like, so my squad leader smelled the alcohol in my breath. He's like, get in the fucking vehicle and shut the fuck up. And I'm like, oh, God. So these guys wind up linking up with these guys. Come to find out, that's one of the platoons that was sent to go fucking find them.
Oh, shit.
They were even spinning up rotary ring to go fucking find them. They come up behind the vehicle and they're like, who are you guys with? What's going on? The guy from the turret turns around and goes, don't worry, man. We're with 5th group. We're fine. Needless to say, they had their they were not the ranks that they were anymore.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But the incident, I'm not going to say what happened on the radio, but you're looking at the incident kind of.
Yeah. Exactly. I know. I've been involved in a couple of those myself.
So
Able
that
to still retire.
so the reason it was so goddamn funny was I walked over to them where they were. They had, they had guards and they put them in the water room where all the bottles of water were. And I went in there to go talk to them, and they're handcuffed, no shoelaces, no fucking PT shorts. They're just in undies and a t-shirt, like straight fucking Iraqi prisoners. And I'm like, where the fuck did you guys go? And one of them looks at me and goes, everywhere. And more of a miracle was the fact that they didn't get fucking killed.
And I was just gonna say, I was like, man, if those guys didn't end up, getting really involved with their local church when they got home after that, it's like, tell me that there's not somebody looking out for you without,
Could you imagine like what the fucking bad guys are thinking? Like what the like what the Mahdi army is thinking? There just was one lone Humvee.
They see them in their PT gear and they're like, they're fucking crazy. We ain't fucking with these guys.
We're not fucking with those guys. Dude, that was probably that was probably the funniest moment ever. I know it took like 10 minutes to explain that story, but it was totally worth it. And
definitely. And then what would you say is one of your greatest hopes for the country that you've been willing to give your life for?
Now we unplug our heads from our fourth point of contact and understand that there is a shitstorm brewing.
Yep.
It is coming, whether people want to believe it or not. The wolf is coming.
Oh yeah, the wolf's here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's you're right, Bill. Like it's here already. There's nothing we can do about it.
All right, well, good, because that'll be a good segue for what I want to get into with you as well. But real quick, last of the questions with the military. What can we do that you feel we can do to break the stigma of mental health and PTSD?
Starts with leadership. It starts with leadership. Let the leadership know that it's okay to talk. Yeah. I was a leader. I was a platoon sergeant. I commanded at one point when I was in Afghanistan. I had 39 guys under me, plus 2 medics and a mortar team. So I always told those guys it's okay to talk if something's wrong. But the people above me were always like, no, what's wrong with this guy? No, is he going to go out because he's got a mental health issue? Blah. There's such a stigma. Yeah. Break that stigma.
Throw some dirt on it, all that bullshit.
Yeah, man, it's not when guys are feeling that way, it's not time to drink water and drive on, you know what I mean? Because look at the fucking epidemic we have right now.
Yeah.
Guys are offing themselves like fucking every day, man. It's really bad. Yeah. It is a fucking bad thing that's happening. If we can figure out how to be, I don't know, because, obviously being a service member is not easy, no matter what branch of the service you're in. You know what I mean? But like if, for example, firefighters and police officers and all, if their jobs are offering them, mental health, and things like that, why aren't the service members being allotted that too? It's like, the way it is when we come home from deployment. You sit here for like fucking 5 days. Like, are you okay? Yep. You just want to get the fuck out of that chair and you want to go home and get laid. That's all it is. You just want to get the fuck out of there. Nobody's really sitting down with you and making you feel uncomfortable and saying, but what is the matter with you? You know what I mean? And making people tap into that before they leave.
Yeah.
And what happens is that, how do they tap into it? With alcohol.
Yep.
A lot of times, or whatever substance of choice or whatever behavior of choice, because we haven't had a chance to go ahead and get that out. So one way we can definitely help is just let's break that stigma with a fucking sledgehammer.
Yeah. One of the biggest things that helped my healing journey since transitioning out is, accepting and being, surrender isn't taught to us, especially in the military. It's like the opposite. You don't surrender, you don't give it up, you don't give in, but you get to a point where you got to surrender to your feelings. You got to surrender your ego. You got to surrender and be vulnerable, be willing to be vulnerable, find a place where you can be vulnerable. Like, I'm in recovery. I've been able to get into some rooms where I can be vulnerable. The VA hasn't always, they spend all this money to send us to war, but they don't really have, all the resources to fix us when we come home. It's starting to get a little bit better. And like I was mentioning that one class I was in this morning when we were talking earlier, but, it's still got a long way to go, because then the people that are supposed to be helping us get burnt out and then they quit. So it's like, you got to keep starting over with this revolving door. It's like, how can we be comfortable and really do the work when we have a new face and got to start from scratch all the time?
I was literally just, it's so funny you mentioned that, because I was just talking about that with one of the guys that I went to Iraq with. He's like, it gets fucking exhausting, man. Like, to have to go ahead and build this rapport with somebody, to actually trust them, to be vulnerable with them, and then they're out the door and you got to keep doing it over and over and over again. It's like an assembly line.
It's like the wound's finally starting to heal. Let's rip that scab off and start from scratch, because they don't take care of the people that are supposed to be taking care of us, or helping us through, So I've had to find a lot of my own healing and help outside of the VA, and they're thankful. And a lot of them are veteran organizations, because vets are like, fuck it, we'll do it. Fuck you, Joe Boo. We do it ourselves, and that's what we do, but, part of my healing and stuff has definitely been doing this podcast and talking about it with other veterans and stuff too,
For sure.
But, I also wanted to talk, I'm trying to think how to keep our timeline, because we did, like you said, we were just kind of segueing into what is what storm is upon us basically right now, but I think you share a lot of what you're seeing to try and wake the masses through what you're doing now with your lyrics and your music as well. So maybe I'll go back to like when was like did music become a thing for you, or something that you really were into? I'm sure you always been into it, even you're a fan in your time in the service and stuff, but when did you ever see yourself becoming like a front man and performing?
I honestly, I was singing even when I was in like middle school. I was like doing R&B and stuff like that, and I always kind of wanted to sing too. That was always in the back of my head. Like, I sang at my high school graduation. I sang R. Kelly's "I Believe I Can Fly."
Nice.
So, I'm gonna hit the ground like a rock. But yeah, I mean, I kind of always loved singing. I loved performing. I loved performing, but I always got like super stage fright too. So it was like I never had the opportunity to like fully perform. But yeah, I mean, I've been doing music pretty much like since it's right around when I was like 12 or 13.
Okay. And then, I mean, yeah, I've always thought I could sing, like when I was drinking back in the day, karaoke. I loved getting up there and trying to, I thought I sounded pretty good, but it was like, I couldn't, like, without any kind of like liquid encouragement, like you, the stage fright and everything would get me. So do you think your time of, your experience in the military kind of took that away a little bit when you started performing now, or?
Yeah, because I mean, especially going through leadership schools and things like that, when they talk to you, about the command presence, excuse me, the command presence, when you're in a room and you address people, you address soldiers, you address them a certain way, you stand a certain way and things like that. So, I was always a shy kid too when I was younger, except for like when I got comfortable, I would be super silly, but I was never like a super assertive person, if that made sense.
Yeah.
And then the military came, and just being around, you know, obviously being around a steady stream of alpha, assertive males in combat arms, you know, you start kind of like working towards embodying that, you know, because the reality is that if you're rolling in a pack of dogs, you don't want to be the cat. You know what I mean? So you gotta learn to be a dog, you know, and dogs bite at each other, dogs nip at each other. And, you know, it taught me to have thick skin and take criticism. And it also at the same time taught me, like, fuck it, dude, do what you gotta do. Just throw your nuts out there. It doesn't matter. Walk into the room, command that shit.
Yeah. And you mentioned too, as a kid growing up, you were involved in martial arts. Do you think that helped play a role as well? The self-confidence and
Yeah, for sure. I got beat up really bad when I was a kid, so like that added a lot to my shyness and stuff like that. And I was like a super introvert as a kid because I was overweight when I was before puberty. I was like real chubby, so I like had a bad self-image and things. So when I started doing martial arts is like when the confidence started getting, and then I started getting taller, thinning out, and I was like, oh, okay. So then that's when like the confidence really came in. But especially absolutely through martial arts, I specifically had more confidence just like walking, just being who I was, you know, knowing that I can be able to defend myself at least partially, you know. But yeah, that definitely gave me a big boost.
And what martial arts was that when you were a kid?
I started off with Taekwondo and Kempo. I had no idea what grappling martial arts was back then. So in town, there was a Kempo studio and a Taekwondo studio, and I went to both.
Okay. And then Jiu-Jitsu would come later?
Yeah, Jiu-Jitsu came. So Jiu-Jitsu came when I was in the Army.
Okay.
Jiu-Jitsu came right around when the Army started moving, when the military started moving towards the combative series, you know, because the Gracies came in and showed some people some shit. So like, it was like, oh, wow. And I never even heard of these Gracie dudes until like I started watching UFC. I'm like, oh, shit, these guys are like fucking big dudes up. Like,
yeah.
You even see the match. You're like, oh, that big dude's going to fucking crush that little.
I remember Ken Shamrock, man. I was like, oh, Shamrock's going to kill this little dude. You know?
Dude.
Nope.
I was, dude, Dan Severn gets fucking choked with a fucking triangle choke. The guy's 3 times bigger than Hoist Gracie, and the guy almost puts him out. I'm like, what, dude? No way, man.
Yeah.
So when I was in the Army, I started looking at this like some freestyle wrestling and things like that. So I started doing some of that. I did that for about a year. And I was like, wow, this is cool. And then there was a combative instructor at West Point. And he was a purple belt at the time. So I was like, oh, cool. You know what I mean? And I went to go train, and I was like, holy fuck, what is this? This is like the other side of the coin. You know, not only is it takedowns, not only is it all this, but I'm watching this dude, and he's systematically destroying people. And I'm like, oh my God, this guy's not even a black belt. Like, this guy's tearing motherfuckers apart.
Yeah.
So that kind of like started my journey on that. So I like in my head, I had the seed. And then immediately after West Point, I went to Iraq. So outside of wrestling and like a couple of those combatives classes and going through actually combatives level 1, I never had the opportunity to like formally do jiu-jitsu. Fast forward, I went to Iraq. I come back and I went TDY as a recruiter for a while. And during that time, I met a buddy of mine while I was recruiting who was a 1-stripe blue belt. And I was like, yo, what? I've heard of the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, man. I trained a little bit. I wanna come train with you. He's like, all right, cool. And that was right around 2000 and end of 2007 going into 2008. And I trained with him for probably roughly about 6 or 7 months. Quit for a little while because life, whatever. I wound up having a kid and things got really hectic. I got reassigned, so I never wound up going back for a while. Then I went to Afghanistan, came back home, and I tried doing jiu-jitsu again. I wanted to get my shoulder ripped out of place in my first Naga tournament. So I didn't even have a stripe on my belt yet. The guy went up for a snap down, took my wrist, snapped it right out. So took a pause again. And then fast forward already now out of the military in 17, I decided, you know what, I'm going to go with it and I'm not going to fucking stop this time. And got into it and haven't stopped since 2017.
Nice. And, you know, for some of the stuff that we were talking about, especially transitioning out of the military and, you know, what, you know, our brother's battle with the mental health and the stigma and stuff. How much would you say your jiu-jitsu journey has helped in your healing process?
I love it. I think, fuck, man, a half hour of rolling is just like being an hour inside of a therapist's office, man. It's face to face with dealing with yourself. It's different than other martial arts. I can tell you that much. And like I said, I did Taekwondo. I got a black belt in Kempo. I might as well have just burned that fucking black belt as soon as I got onto the fucking jiu-jitsu mat. I was like, I don't know a goddamn thing about shit. It is tremendously. I can't even. Tremendously isn't even a word to put it when it comes to helping, like, especially about PTSD and things like that. Because if coming out, especially like from the military, you have this mindset that's ingrained in you. It's really hard to break it, which means like you always have to have a, you know, maybe it's a protector mindset, or maybe it's a first responder mindset, or maybe it's a always ready mindset, or maybe it's a, you know, I have to do this for myself mindset. There's always like some kind of disciplined mindset coming out of the military. And it's really hard to find a activity, sport, intramural, club, whatever, that really forces you to immerse yourself in the moment.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like the military, for example, if you are taking apart your weapon, putting it back together, if you're doing a lanes training, or if you're out on a mission, you're forced to be in the moment, you know, and that's where we all are. You know, you're forced to be in a certain moment at a certain time. You can't think about anything else. You can't think about home. You can't think about this. You can't think about that, because if you do, something's going to fuck up. So you're forced to be in the moment. And that's what jiu-jitsu does. It forces you to be in the moment. It doesn't matter that you have a fucking shut off notice for your gas bill. Doesn't matter that, you know, you got to get a new timing belt in your car. Doesn't matter that your wife or your husband pissed you off. Doesn't matter that your kids are upsetting you. If you don't fucking think about what you're doing, you're going to pass out, because this guy's going to fucking choke you. Or this guy's going to rip your arm off. You know what I mean? So like it really forces you in that moment. And that really helps me mentally, because it forces me to take space from problems that I'm facing, work out, get the endorphins out, and come back to it and say, why was I upset about this? How can I approach this now?
Yeah. I know for me too, going back to like what I talked about earlier about embracing vulnerability and that surrender. You know, when I first started in there, it's like I'm still in this, like the upper belts would always say, dude, quit being so stiff, loosen up, you know, like focus on your breathing, you know, like just like always stiff. And I'm, you know, I'm accidentally hurting somebody else or hurting myself, you know, and it was finally when I was just like, hey, I'm all right. You know, I can trust this person. I can be vulnerable. And this is how I learn. And then when I started loosening up and I started really flowing, you know, that's when it finally like clicked. And then under pressure, you know, I used to tap for pressure, you know, I used to, you know, and now it's just like, all right, I'm just going to control my breathing. This sucks. You know, we got some dudes some really round and heavy dudes, man. And and knee on belly or just being stuck underneath them, man. And it's like, dude, it's like, I'm being waterboarded or suffocated or whatever? Nah, I'm all right, man. I ain't drowning. I'm going to be all right. So let me just let them, and they're working on the arm and they're working on getting, you know, whatever. And I've gotten to the point where it's just like, all right, they're about to do the arm and they think I'm done, but that's when I know I'm rolling into it and, you know, and I'm out because I managed to just keep my breathing under control under that pressure. So it's like, I was still planning on, okay, well, when they finally go for this, I'm going for this, you know, and it took a while, you know, and it just like, some days it was just like going in there and like, okay, he tapped me in like, you know, 30 seconds tomorrow he's not tapping me until 31 seconds, you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
And thankfully, you know, I have a good school and a good group of people that wouldn't give up on me, because there was many times I was like, you know, that early soreness and the other, you know, all my service connected stuff. You know, I mean, I had the laundry list of medical excuses on why I should quit, and I was gonna stamp it, you know, and I didn't. And I'm grateful that I didn't. And now it's like finally that click has happened, and you know, got the blue, and now it's like now purple's in you know, in the future, you know?
Yeah, man. Like, just a caveat to that for sure. I agree with everything you said. I mean, it's especially when you got something like I've tapped so many times to Neon Belly. I've tapped so many times to a dude just like I tapped one time just because a guy was north-south and like his gi was over my face and breathing was just hot.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It was, oh my God, like this is, and that was during the time where it was like control your breath, but my breath like is fucking hot, like I can't breathe right now. You know what I mean? So I even have to, and like now, and also like it just helps me calm down in stressful situations as it is, because if you don't, like you said, if you don't settle your fucking breathing down, you're gonna pass the fuck out on your own accord. You know how tense jiu-jitsu can be, man. Like if you're going 100 miles an hour, dude, you're not lasting more than 2 minutes in the first round. You know what I mean? And now you know, once you get to blue belt, you know, you're doing, you know, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 rounds. You know what I mean? Just
not me, but
I'm training for a tournament next month, so I'm just grinding.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, you know, I'd like to get there eventually, but I'm still like, I think they kind of just, sometimes I feel like, you know, I got my promotion because I kept coming back and I didn't die, you know? So, but,
hey, man, all you got to do is show up, man. All you got to do is get there.
Yeah. And, you know, the biggest, one of the biggest obstacles I had too, was that comparison game we were talking about earlier about like the first world stuff. Everybody's worried about what everybody else is thinking or whatever. You know, I just turned 50, you know, I'm getting into it a little late. Coming like said, off of retiring from the military. You know, and there I go starting kind of make excuses or whatever, but it's reality. But I
listen, first of all, Bill, making your blue belt at 50 is a fucking huge accomplishment. So don't fucking shortchange yourself for that on that, dude. Seriously, man. Congratulations, dude.
Thanks, man. Yeah, that's what my coaches keep telling me too. I'm always the first to, even when I was being called up there, I'm looking at all the young people. I started getting stuck in that mindset again and comparing myself to those white belts that whoop my ass, you know, and like, I don't deserve this. They deserve it, you know? And then, but you know, my coaches have to help me pull my head out of my ass to realize that I earned it, you know? And, but you know, that was the mindset for the longest time. I was holding myself back, comparing myself to dudes in their 20s, you know, athletes, collegiate wrestlers coming in and stuff like that. And then we get guys, and then I would use the old man card, but then I got some old guys that joined that are firefighters, you know? So I'm like, shit. All right. You know, and then I got involved with the We Defy organization, and I see, you know, veterans without limbs out there competing. I'm like, I got to shut the fuck up. When I finally found Jiu-Jitsu Grandma on Instagram, I was like, I got to start shutting the fuck up.
You will put anybody to shame, dude.
I'm just going to shut up, and I'm just going to try and be better than I was yesterday. And I'm the only motherfucker I got to beat, you know?
I had a coach that told me 0.01%. If you are 0.01% than you were the last time you were on the mats, dude, you're fucking making progress.
Yep. Amen. And then, you know, I wanted to touch on, we talked about already, you know, singing, but let's talk about how you got involved with Dead by Wednesday. Like were you involved in any other bands before, or you just your R. Kelly impersonations?
No. Yeah. When I got back home from Iraq, I actually got involved. fuck, now we're going back 2006, 2007. One of my friends, he had a metal band, and I had just gotten into metal while being overseas because I had a roommate who was into metal, and I was like, oh shit, this stuff actually kind of kicks ass. So it grew on me.
I had that effect on Carlos when we were over there too.
That is fucking great, dude. Like I put him onto hip hop and R&B, and he put now. If I talk to him now to this day, I'm like, "What do you listen to regularly?" He's like hip hop. So I totally broke his metal and put him into hip hop, and he did the opposite with me. So, but yeah, it was one of my friends. He knew I sang, and he was like, "Hey, man, I know you don't sing metal, but do you want to just kind of try it and see what happens?" I'm like, sure. I had no idea about how to scream or anything. So first thing I'm doing, I'm like, bah! And I'm like blowing my voice out and shit like that. And then over the years, I started kind of developing my own style for it. And then I stopped, obviously, because I had got reassigned. So I was like, oh, okay, well, I can't be in a band anymore. And then I went to Afghanistan. I came back from Afghanistan. I didn't dabble in a band again until I got out in 2016. I had joined a band back then that's kind of big in our area. That was kind of big in our area locally, was a band called Venom Morris, because I was really good friends with the guitarist because I was in another band with him. So he's like, hey, man, now that you're back, and out, do you want to try? And I'm like, sure. And then that band folded. So then the guitarist, the two guitarists and the bass player and myself, we formed another band called Condition Zero back in end of 2017, beginning of 2018. And then we did that. And then we started performing towards the end of 2019 going into 2020. And then, as a matter of fact, the last big show we had before COVID was we opened up for Born of Osiris in December. And then after that, obviously COVID happened, but right before that, I get a phone call, like a random phone call, and it was Opus. And he's like, hey, I'm kind of looking for, Esteban, have him give me a call. I was like, okay. So I called him back, and then that's when Opus is like, yeah, I see you on social media and stuff like that. We're looking to our singer. He just got a new job. So he's kind of taking a step back, and he's looking to, and we're looking to have somebody fill in for this tour that we have. It was a twisted, it was a dynamic duo tour. It was like a whole, weed infused tour. So they're like, yeah, sure. Screw it. I'll audition. So I went and auditioned, and I got it. And we got everything prepped to be able to get ready to go on tour. And we were actually going to set sail on tour March 28th of 2020. When did lockdown happen?
Yeah.
So we went into lockdown, and that's how I wound up getting in with Dead by Wednesday. The former singer, Rob, big kudos to Rob. He took a step back because, to forward his career and his family. And thankfully, I'm very grateful that I was afforded the opportunity to come on with these guys.
Nice. And then, so then, COVID happens. You guys don't get the tour, but you guys, when were you guys able to start like really working on Capital Conspiracy? Was it during the downtime that you started?
Yeah, even during lockdown, we started throwing songs around. You know what I mean? Like there was like some demos we had whipped up and stuff like that, and Opus and Dave were like, yo, we're just gonna throw you this song, work with it, see what you can come up with. And it was a song on our album called The Wake. And I was like, all right, cool. So I took it and I was like, oh, I did it and threw it back at them, and they're like, oh my God, we love it. And I was like, oh, sweet. I was actually super nervous. I'm like, I don't know if these guys are gonna like it or not, but fuck it, I'll give it a try. So that happened, and then SOS we started working on. That was our next song after that, and then Mars in Exile. So those three songs already coming out of into the summer of 2020 now are already starting to hit pretty decent, and we already got them done. We didn't release them yet. I think we had just released SOS, And then, we started working on that. And then over the course of like the next year and a half, we finished up Capital Conspiracy.
Nice. And then, so then when, and then you guys just did the tour over in Europe, the Sick as Fuck tour.
Oh, yeah.
And that's when I think is that when you got to go visit Sweden and find out how much everything is over there and all that during that tour?
Switzerland, man. And I was like,
Switzerland,
what? That was fucked up.
Like, what was that experience like finally getting able to go out and play, this album, perform this album for people and actually get to now be on almost a deployment, see the world without, like military restrictions.
Yeah. So what was kind of cool was before I went on this tour, my brother and I, when I got out of the military, actually for jiu-jitsu, you can probably look them up now. It's a BJJ Globetrotters. They do camps all around the world, like jiu-jitsu full on like camps, and you immerse yourself into these camps and you train for a week. So the first time we went was back in 2018, and we wound up going to Leuven, Belgium to go train for a week. So we went to Amsterdam, France, all that shit. And then the year after that, we wound up going to Germany. So I kind of already seasoned myself to traveling, and, I've gone to Mexico and stuff. I always said when I got out of the Army that I wanted to travel the military without having any, not travel the world, travel the military, travel the world without having any restrictions anymore. Like, don't have to worry about fucking what's going on here. Don't have to worry about what's going on there. So, and then wound up doing that. And when I got over there, it was like, oh, okay, this is great. It was definitely a different experience when I was like, obviously in the band. It's a whole different experience, way different experience. It was like jaw dropping. Real quick, is it bad to have to go take a piss break?
No, that's fine. Go ahead.
Cool. I'll be right.
Kind of once again now seeing the rest of the world through eyes that have already seen stuff, and being grateful for, what we have here and stuff. What was that experience like?
Exactly what you just mentioned. Like when I mentioned before about, being grateful, like I had like an emotional experience when we were in Rome. I even told the guys, I got pretty emotional. I told them, like, guys, I lived a pretty rough life, growing up kind of pretty poor, and being in the military and having to see some of the shit I've seen. I never in a million fucking years, Bill, I never in a million years would have ever thought that I would be in Rome, you know what I mean, or be in Italy playing. Like, I thought I'd be fucking dead by now, and it was just, it really hit. It was like a tuning fork. Boom. It was like, wow. It was like, honestly, it was like the universe, whoever, higher power, big guns, Jesus, Muhammad, whoever, whatever anybody wants to call them, was just like, here's your gift. Here's what you wanted.
Nice. And what do you, I want to touch on that a little bit, because I know, getting out of my own way and kind of like, you get what you put out too. And when you don't have any kind of like expectations, I think, I've realized, we went, I don't know if it was us being prepared for what is coming and what we've already been experiencing. But, as bad as things got in 2020 and being locked down, I was kind of able to like reset myself, and a lot of doors have opened up in my life, like relationships I never thought I would have, a lot of positive things through all the fear that's being projected, that constant state of fear that we can stay stuck in. I'm kind of like, almost like, well, things are all right. So whatever is controlling things, the more I kind of like put my faith into what, like I have no control, and like whenever I kind of just go by faith, doors open up. I have so many relationships and friendships now that I never thought were possible. And so many experiences on the way. And at first, when it started happening, you know, the negative side was just like, figures this shit's happening now as the world's coming to an end and it's the apocalypse, you know. But I'm like, I'm like, all right, I'm rolling with it, and more things keep happening. I don't know. What do you feel?
Dude, I'm a total proponent of that shit, dude. You know how that shit started with me was actually during COVID as well. So it's funny you mentioned that. I used to have this big thing about getting anxiety about losing shit.
Yeah.
It was like, and come to find out, you know, going through therapy and things like that, it's a trained thought from the military, you know, sensitive items. If you lose a sensitive item, like, dude, like,
oh yeah,
the fucking world, like, if you lose your nods, bro, like, everybody's going hands across, you know, America, and you're going to go find those fucking night vision goggles.
Yeah.
You know, so it was like, it was a trauma response to me. Like, anytime I would lose something that I felt was important at the time, I would lose my mind.
Yeah.
So what I started doing was, whenever I would lose something, I would tell myself, all right, or whenever I would misplace something and look for something, even if something as simple as my keys or my wallet, or, you know, something I've been looking for a while, I took a step back and I was like, you know what, man, I'm not going to worry about it right now. Let me figure out something else I can do, and it'll pop up one way or another. And if it doesn't pop up, there ain't shit I can do about it. Whatever. Yeah. Dude, even to this day, I swear to God, 10 out of 10. As soon as I say that, within the hour, I find what I was looking for.
Yeah.
So it's like, and I put that towards life. And the same thing with like jiu-jitsu. I put it towards like not getting crushed. Things are, you know, kind of shitty right now. But let me look at my blessings that I have. I have both hands. I have both legs. I'm for lack of better terms, I'm not sitting in a hospital bed. Like, I'm pretty able-bodied. I know people that are not able-bodied. You know, so I sit there and say, you know what? Who cares if I can't go to this concert? Who cares if I, you know, blew a tire on the way to work? Who cares if I got to drop, you know, $600 to fix, you know, the clutch on my truck or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's just money. It is what it is. Nobody's hurt. Everything's fine. And the same thing, dude, immediately it's like, as soon as I start like not worrying, it's almost like, it's like a fucking program started. It's like positivity. Yep. Here's this opportunity. Here's that opportunity. Here's this opportunity. Here's that opportunity. What I realized, and then before that, I used to be a real bitter motherfucker. I used to be really angry, really bitter, really negative, like perpetually negative. And it's still tough sometimes because I can still be very negative when I want to be.
Yeah.
But I have a verbal dialogue with myself, like, snap the fuck out of it. Don't do this. You're going down a rabbit hole. And I remember those times, anytime I was being super negative, man, like bad stuff would happen.
Yep.
Or I would attract, like, bad people would be in my life.
Yep.
Or like I had a revolving door of friends in my life because I was toxic to them. You know what I mean? But either which way, and it kind of like leads onto this whole broad spectrum of things. Like, for example, when you see somebody everybody knows has a friend that's always getting in trouble with the law. You know what I mean? So if you're always getting in trouble with the law, what energy are you putting out into the world that it fucking attracts that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm a huge proponent of you are what you attract. You know what I mean? You're in the term of show me who a man holds his company, and I'll tell you his character really holds true.
Oh yeah. Yep. I try and teach that to my daughters constantly. Like you if you're hanging out with like 5 hoodlums, you're going to be the 6th, you know, or whatever, you know? And It's like, you know, being in recovery, you know, I got 14 years sobriety, you know, working a program.
Congratulations, man. Congratulations.
Thank you. But, you know, during that, it prepared me for, you know, like that, you know, 2020, you know, prepared me because I got the serenity prayer, and I would say that religiously. What do I have control over right now? You know, and help me get through what I don't have control over. And then acceptance, just accepting things are what they are right now. And I have to, you know, the more I accept, and the more, you know, I say the serenity prayer during all that stuff, it kind of, and the cool thing about that as well is like, you know, when it keeps you closer in that fear zone and your energy in that fear zone, like I said, it opened up so many relationships and friendships that I have today in recovery and in the music world and everything. We were all Zooming, you know, I met people through Zoom that I never thought I'd meet, you know, even if I paid for a meet and greet, you know, and stuff like that, you know, and it was superficial. Now it's like I got like real relationships, which is a huge blessing. But, you know, during that time, I was able to look at things a little bit differently when everybody else was kind of losing their shit. And when you're stuck, when you're not in that fight or flight and that fear state, you can almost see the theatrics that's being played on all of us, you know,
man.
Which
is this the part where we segue?
Yeah, it kind of getting back into what we were touching on earlier, how we're in it. We're in it, and people don't realize, you know,
this is a motherfucking soap opera, bro.
Yeah, I mean, we say it's coming, but it's here, man. It's been here. I believe. You know, and this is the fun stuff for me because these are the episodes that get me banned on YouTube and in trouble or whatever. But
let's do it.
Yeah, but fucking, you know, it just fuck. I'm totally like shitting the bed on what I was going to say. But anyway, Capital Conspiracy. We were talking about the writing for that, and that's when Opus was like, "Oh, you got to talk to Esteban because it's not only just like the name of the album, but you know, there's conspiracies. You know that, you know, people say, "Oh man, you're such a conspiracy theorist" or whatever. I'm like, have you ever really worked for the government? You know, you've ever been in there where you're told, people are being told one thing, but we're seeing something completely different.
Thank you.
Changes perspective quite a bit.
Thank you, dude. Thank you for saying that shit. Like, fuck, I hate it when people from Starbucks look at me and say, yeah, this isn't really happening. Fuck you. Yes, it is, dude.
Anderson Cooper did not mention that. You know?
Fuck off, dude. Like, I see that shit all the time. Like, and especially like in another realm that in a couple other rooms that I travel in. Like I said, I'll keep that part obscure, but a couple of the rooms that I travel in, you know, I deal with a lot of people who like really live in a motherfucking bubble, dude. I'm like, you guys have no idea that they're fucking playing you, dude. They're playing you like a fucking Xbox, bro. And you're just playing right into, dude, I don't even have all the national news channels, all I have is my local news, and the only alerts that I'm allowed that I allow it to give me are on weather.
Yeah.
And the Yankees. That's it. That's all I give a fuck about. The other headlines I get are from fucking ESPN about UFC. Other than that, dude, especially with the entire like dude, these news networks, man, there's such a fucking agenda. I don't want to get you banned. I don't want to fucking dabble down.
No, I mean, I don't know. For me, it was like after the event in September of 2001, you know, I was just like, oh my God, you know, I had my oldest was a year old. And we're watching, you know, she's watching the Book of Pooh, Winnie the Pooh on Disney Channel. And mom comes home early from work. And I'm like, you know, and because I work nights, so I was with our baby. I'm like, what the hell are you doing home early? She's like, you don't know what's going on? I was like, no, freaking, it's not like Mickey Mouse cuts in. This just in, you know?
Yeah.
And shit. You know, so then I turn on and then I'm watching the towers fall and everything, just like I'm being bombarded. And then I was hooked, and then I started watching religiously. Like they hooked me in, and I'm watching the elevation rates, you know, the threat levels and all that shit. And then it took a while of being pulled in where I realized they wanted me in, they got me, you know, and let's just say somehow some friends got me into some alternative reporting, journalism, and news. And one guy that screams a lot that just got sued a ton of money, You know, I used to
I
watch
know who
him
that is.
quite a bit. And but then he would stress me out too. So I needed I needed to even things out. But anyway, and I was still active, and I went on my last deployment and I was just like, and I'll say I was deployed 2008, and there's a guy coming in and a bunch of other people telling me, oh, this guy's a cell. He's an infiltrator, and then he ended up getting, and it ended up becoming our president. And it was around that time where I started paying a lot more attention and then reading more history books on our government, on certain presidents that spoke out about different things. And then when things went downhill, because all of a sudden this dude gets shot in Dallas, which I visited while I was down in Dallas too. But I'm going down all these rabbit holes. And then you mentioned earlier professional wrestling, being a fan of professional wrestling. I too am a fan of professional wrestling. Grew up, thank you, Vince McMahon, for all the years of entertainment. But then that's how I saw our political parties.
Right, dude?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like you have one section that's like the nation and domination, another one that's like Degeneration X. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah. And they're coming out and they're fighting each other, but they go back to the same locker room.
Exactly, dude.
The
way I tell people, man, I mean, if anything, this will give me backlash, dude. Like, every single politician is fucking crooked.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck, dude. I don't trust Elon Musk. I don't trust fucking any of those guys. I personally think Elon Musk is like a fucking red herring.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I think he's just, because the reality is, dude, if you're still a multi-billionaire.
Yeah.
If you're a multi-billionaire with that much money, why aren't you making that much of a difference? If you're calling these dudes out, why aren't you campaigning for politics? Why aren't you campaigning for change? Instead of just sitting there on Twitter and just buying all these stuff. Why aren't you campaigning for change? Oh, because you're the guy that they put in place in order for the other side to go ahead and have a savior and shut the fuck up for a while, because then that way they can't uprise.
Yeah, well, and while you're on that, I've kind of started feeling that way about Big Don.
Yes, thank you.
I was all in at the beginning, I was finally like, after everything, and it was like, here we are. It was looking like a Bush Clinton again.
Yeah, dude.
And like, here we go, the same friggin' people. Enough with this BS. And then this maverick, this outsider comes. You're fired. Yeah. And everybody loved him, and now they hate him. And so then I started loving him because everybody hated him. And he was saying all the things I wanted to hear. And then for me, it was just like this everybody needs to get this thing injected in their body. We're going to fast forward this thing, warp speed. And I did it, dude, come on, man. It was just like and then there's that whole thing with like, trust the plan or whatever. Sit back. The good guys are in control, dude. That's what keeps the good guys actually sitting on their ass. Dude,
I'll be honest with you. Like, look at what's happening now, for example.
Yeah.
The same exact thing that happened with Orange Fucker. Everybody, there was a bunch of people that loved him. That side loved him when Trump. Look, I'll be honest. The Republican side loved Trump when he went into office, right? Then he went in there, and there was some fucking shenanigans that he did, and a lot of the people were like, "Wait a minute, you shouldn't be talking like this. You shouldn't be acting this way. Like, we put you in power. Like do the right thing." And now look what's happening. Okay, Biden's voted into office. You know what I mean? Like, he's supposed to be the great hope, and now look at what his acceptance rating is. People are like, "I don't want him as president again." Like, so. I feel like he's red herring too.
Well, it was like, I mean, this game has been being played like, I remember like, I mean, the hanging chads back in, Bush Gore or whatever, all right, we're getting our guy in, everybody got so tired of all the crap you know, and the endless wars and the weapons of mass destruction, and we got to find these and send our boys off. So then this well-spoken African American man comes on the scene, and everybody's like, oh, we finally hope and change. But I kind of saw I was seeing through that, like when Bush Kerry was like, we're part of the same society, you know. So what's the choice? And then you know, the hope and change gets in, and we're thinking, okay, you know, where's the hope? There's some change going on, but it ain't going no direction I think our country needs to be going. And then, you know, Romney was the other choice. I'm like, they put people in that they know aren't going to be the one, or McCain, you know, they're put the one, this is your other option. And you're just like, well, what kind of choice is that? You know?
For sure, dude.
So it's like, I've been watching the game for a long time, and I actually bought in. I did at the beginning of the term, you know, in the Don, you know, because there was so much.
Everybody did, man. Everybody everybody bought into the party that they wanted to see win, you know, like.
And it wasn't the party thing for me. It was like what he was actually offering. He sounded like he felt like he was finally pulling the curtain back and speaking the truth. And then I watched the old videos of him on Oprah and all this stuff. I'm like, the dude's been solid saying these things for all this time. I want to get behind him, but it was.
And then what happened?
Yeah.
What happened, dude? If that's not an indicator that there's a bigger puppet master behind the motherfucking scenes, dude, I don't know what is, dude.
Exactly.
There's nothing you can. The way I put it is like, for example, how are you going to push this vaccine? Or sorry, I don't even. Maybe you can edit that out. So I'll start. For example, how are you going to push this jab?
Yeah.
Over pushing healthy living.
Mm-hmm.
In the same commercial, you talk about health. And you talk about, hey, if you care about your loved ones, get this jab. But then yet there's a fucking McDonald's commercial that's right after it.
Yeah. Or the dude in New York, you get some free fries if you go get it. You know?
Like, what the fuck? It's been proven, dude, that if you eat McDonald's, it destroys your liver more than you drink. You know what I mean? Like, it's...
When we were locked down and they closed the gyms, you couldn't go train jiu-jitsu. You couldn't do, you know, any of the healthy things. And you had your time limit of when you could go grocery shopping. And then people are like, you know, buying in bulk because it's like, well, I'm going to be locked down for a while. And I was seeing the processed crap everybody was buying, but they think the magic little, you know, it ain't the secret soldier serum from friggin' Captain America, dude, you know?
I mean,
I would have signed up probably, but
I mean, you went through the same time I did, so I got pumped with anthrax shots, dude. So
yeah, yep.
Like there ain't no fucking more prototype than that. So the people are talking, oh, you don't want to take the jab for safety? Fuck you, take an anthrax shot, bitch.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, like
anthrax, smallpox, all that fucking shit.
Take all the other fucking vaccines that I've had, dude. I haven't gotten jabbed. You know, because I can't. I got vaccine injured from the anthrax shot. So a part of my I can't even really say that out loud. But a part of that is I can't take the jab. But the only thing is like, if there was such a concerted effort for people to live a healthy lifestyle, as much as it was for this fucking jab, we wouldn't be in the fucking predicament that we're in.
Nope.
Period. People's immune systems would be fucking amazing. Why? Because they're eating healthy. They're exercising. They're not drinking. They're not smoking cigarettes. Nobody's running no politician is running a campaign to get fucking cigarettes off the scene. That's one of the number one killers on the fucking planet.
Yep.
Nobody's stopping fucking processed sugars. Nobody's stopping high fructose corn syrup.
Nope. Well, in this country, you know. I mean, there's other countries.
Exactly. And that makes you think even more. Why the fuck are we allowed to have it here? But dude, I just went to Europe, dude. They don't even have spiked seltzers in Europe. They don't have all kinds of things that we serve here. And it just kind of makes you think like, wait a fucking minute.
Yeah. I mean, sure, there were some things going on where they didn't have in other countries where they didn't have a choice if they wanted to travel and all that. They had to get, you know, so it has been a global concerted effort.
It's one hand washes another, you know.
But at the same time, the people that they're telling us are the bad guys, you know, don't allow Monsanto into their country. They don't allow genetically modified foods into their country. We got people on the board of the FDA that are also on the board of, like, you know, or, you know, CDC that are also on the board of Pfizer and
those cunts, dude.
You
Like, I
know?
don't understand how anybody can even put a fucking weight into the CDC anymore, dude. They've been proven time and time and time again that they're inaccurate. So even when I hear that word CDC, dude, I get so fucking fed up with those guys. Like, and you're right. Like the same people who are doing these are, you know, FDA, you know, the same time they're not allowing you to leave the country for a jab. Hey, but no worries, we don't have trans fat in our fucking cupcakes.
yeah. We're going to push trans everything else, but not trans. I know that's a whole nother episode, but yeah, man, I just, you know, we talked about, you know, oh, they don't know what's coming, but it's, I also look at it like this, you know, you know, everybody's like worried about, oh my God, World War III is going to start off, nuclear World War III. I'm like, dude, we're in World War III. World War III is now.
Cyber.
World War III's been cyber. It's been fentanyl pumped over our borders. It's been the infiltration of our education systems. It's been, I don't know if you're a G. Edward Griffin, you read up on him or aware of him. I had him on the podcast. I got to interview him. Yeah. I'll send you that episode. And we talked about,
seriously.
He, you know, that interview he had with Yuri Brumovich or whatever, that KGB defector. Everything that dude warned us about back in, what was that, in the 70s when he did that interview?
Dude, I mean, in the 60s, the KGB was doing all the testing about inundating people with fucking multimedia. They tested the definition of multimedia is news. They tested multimedia on people to inundate them with so many versions of the truth, of different truths or different stories, that people didn't even know what the fuck to believe, which then raised their anxiety, which then gives the person who's the overlord or the, you know, final arbitrating authority or, you know, government body to say, hey, we're here to help. Listen to us. Don't listen to medias. Don't listen to these guys. Listen to us.
Problem
when they're the puppet masters.
Yeah.
Was it Reagan that said, you know, the worst words that anybody can hear are, I'm with the government and I'm here to help?
Yeah. And then I don't know if that was, I forget when this person was was it Casey in the CIA or something, that like, we'll know our operation was successful where people don't know what to believe anymore, you know, or what the truth is anymore.
That's the truth.
Information, disinformation.
Bill, I'm gonna put it like this, dude. Over COVID, we just finished releasing that extraterrestrials are fucking real. That UFOs are fucking real and they're not man-made, and no one gives a fuck. Okay?
We've been fighting for the disclosure for all these years, but we've been through so much shit, we don't even care. Whatever.
Like, what fucking planet am I on right now, dude? Like, we just finished telling you guys, look, that shit in the sky that you all are seeing, we got nothing.
Yeah.
People are worried about, oh my God, did you get the jab? There's things up there, dude. Like, what the fuck? Are you serious right now? Where are your fucking priorities lie, dude? And I mean, like, if we go down that rabbit hole, dude, you can look at propaganda 101. You look at any military movement, propaganda 101. Look, we did it during fucking Saudi. We did it in Vietnam. We did it during Afghanistan. We did it during fucking Iraq. Okay, we inundate. We fucking it's propaganda. You start controlling the media, controlling where they are, controlling the people. Start making cattle pass. Start making cattle pass where people can go. Okay, and then what you do is that once it's mass hysteria, once it's people that can't even have a conversation with each other, that don't trust each other. If you have a nation that is absolutely destroyed from within, it's so easy to go ahead and take them over. I think it was Admiral Yamamoto during World War II that the reason that this guy right here, United States, Old Glory, is so uninvadable. He said because behind every third blade of grass is a rifle.
Yeah.
And look what they're after right now.
Yep. And that's what's been keeping them at bay for so long is that Second Amendment. And of course they're attacking that, but at the same time, like I said, man, it's soft kill weaponry. You know, what is it? The silent weapons for quiet wars.
Yeah.
There's, like I was saying, we're in the middle of it, man. You know, we've had the opioid epidemic. You know, we've lost people to, you know, overdose. We got the disinformation. We got the people in the fear state. We got people willingly rolling up their sleeves for something new.
For the pandemic.
Yeah, exactly. And so died suddenly, you know, we got it.
What? Hold on. What the fuck is up with that shit? Now all of a sudden we have died suddenlies.
Yeah. Or SADS or whatever it's called, like SIDS, sudden adult death syndrome. You know,
when the fuck does that ever become a thing?
When did young kids, when did young athletes start having heart attacks? You know,
did you see the whole thing about the, I forgot what team it was, but it was either I think it was a cricket team that like half the team fucking wound up having myocarditis and started dropping dead.
Yeah.
Right after one of the jabs. I'm not going to get you banned by saying, you know, the brand. I know the brand and I know, you know, who did it. And I say, you know, I don't know what team, but I actually know what team. You know, and those guys are falling like flies, dude. How are you going to have professional athletes, dude, they're at the peak of their fucking physical fitness, just die randomly?
Well, here's the thing, too, that I've run into with some of my friends that, you know, even if we're like kind of close on our personal beliefs, like politically or whatever, you know, I ain't missing my concerts. You know, I ain't missing my sporting events. You know, I was like, here, it's been my life, man, you know, and I was like, okay, if this is it means I never see another live music event again. So be it. You know, I ended up having a heart attack at the beginning of 2020, a minor heart attack, you know, and that was, you know, that led me to, you know, eating healthier and changing my lifestyle and everything. And my doctor even like, I don't want you getting this, you know, and I was like, yeah, I don't want to get it because I already got enough. But anyway, I had these friends that they're just like, I ain't missing out on my fun. So what, you know, come on, everybody's getting it. Everybody's doing it. I'm going to go do it. And now their pride's in the way because now they're realizing that they screwed up, but they don't want to admit that they screwed up. And they wish they would have, you know, that the crazy guy that was like, all right, I guess I'm not going. And guess what? I'm going to a music festival next weekend and I don't have to show shit anymore. You know,
I was literally going to say, where am I going?
Yeah.
Melfest. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
Yeah. I just had to stick with my beliefs and my, you know, and wait it out, you know, but at the same time, I don't think it's over. You know, there's been so much going on. Like you said, all this cow paths that have been thrown at us. It's either like what's happening to our kids in school, what's happening with this jumbled letter organization over here, what's happening, you know, there's all this stuff. But he's coming back in 2024 to save us, our guy, our big orange knight, you know, and
fuck off.
Yeah, dude, no, it's us. If we don't pull our heads out of our asses and wake up and start, you know, Paul revering it, you know, whatever, getting other people involved, man, it's done. If you don't start paying attention, and it looks like
there's so many threats that are on the horizon, dude. Look at fucking AI alone.
Oh yeah,
dude. AI alone, dude. Like that's a whole other monster. Dude. That's a whole other monster in itself. That even top professionals and CEOs and people of that nature are saying that we are dabbling into something that we should not be dabbling into. And what do? Like normal fucking greedy ass human beings, not only do we dabble into it, but we're going to get into a fucking space race with our fucking competitors about AI and see who can create the better one.
Yeah.
You know, the faster one. Like, dude, there's AI that we have to deal with that's happening right now. Oh my God.
You talk about CERN, we could talk about
dude, all kinds of, and people aren't batting a fucking eye at this, dude.
No.
Like, people are worried
Not at all.
about TikTok. People are worried about fucking Instagram. Oh,
How many likes do I got? You know, how many followers?
Face selfie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this is why, dude, I can't have any national or international news on my phone because I'll stress myself out. I'm like, well, so the only thing I do is, like you said, I can only control what I can control. I have this conversation with my best friend all the time. I'm like, he's like, yeah, dude, like, it's getting bad. I'm like, but who's going to fucking do anything? Who's doing anything? He's like, well, maybe, you know, if Trump or Elon comes back in the office. I'm like, bullshit. If those two assholes put their money together, they can be able to wage war and finance enough to fucking make change. But they don't. Why? Is anybody asking that question? I mean, look at the internet now, dude. Look, I'm gonna bring it into it, but you get hit and restricted on social medias for social medias. I'll lump them all into one for even mentioning God. Why is what the fuck is going on?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And guess what? Guess what the biggest trick that the fucking devil pulled on the world was to make the world believe he didn't even exist.
Yep.
And to pull all of the big guns upstairs followers, dude.
Yep.
And look what's happening, dude. People, like, you just hit the nail on the head. People are more worried about going to fucking concerts than worried about their families. People are more worried about fucking getting likes than spending time with their kids. People are more worried about having to go to work and having to grind and want to be successful and be famous than going ahead and being a good human being. Dude, we live in a fucking society that's inundated with narcissists.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Me. And that's one of the things I see from the military, because when you come from the military, it's a very we atmosphere. Like, we are suffering right now. Like, if you're going to suffer, you're going to suffer together. If you're going to win, you're going to win together. So coming out, you have a form of, like, you see all these people who are individuals. Well, I got to get mine. Well, what does that do for me? Or, you know, me, I have this big thing with people like that are like me people. They're like, oh, your pronouns are me, myself, and I. You know what I mean? Like, so, like, and everybody knows that, like, if you think about religion, what's the number one thing that's, you know, fuels big guy downstairs is vanity.
Yep. Pride comes before the fall, man.
Exactly, man.
You know?
So,
and
like,
we're a very prideful nation right now.
You can't even, dude, if people 50 years ago, 30 years ago saw that, like, what people are getting banned for, like, people can't, you're not even saying the Pledge of Allegiance in the fucking classroom anymore, dude. Like, come on, man. Meanwhile, in these other countries, man, they're conditioning their kids to go in the military and defend and die for their country.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's fifth graders over in other countries taking apart rifles and putting them back together, you know.
Look, if a millionaire wants to be a prima donna and take a knee during the national anthem, so be it. If he wants to make a jackass out of himself, go for it. I know where my loyalty lies. Yeah. The money in my pocket has American fucking dollars on it, and that's where my loyalty lies. I said it at the beginning of the podcast, and I'll say it now. We may not be perfect, but to me, we're the best. You know what I mean? And I've been to other countries. Yeah, of course. Are there luxuries in other countries that we don't have here that just seem really nice? Yeah, great. Do other countries have universal health care? Yeah, great. But they don't have 350 fucking million people. They don't have the poverty epidemic that we have. They don't have the fentanyl. They don't have the border issues we have right now. They don't have the fucking drug issues we have right now. They don't have the fucking broken down homes that we have right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, broken down families, you know?
Dude, they've completely broken down the family structure. And when you break down the family structure, what happens is that you start forming people who are in survival mode. And if you're in survival mode, all you're going to think about is yourself.
Yep.
And that's what we have. It's not just us, though. And if you look, too, there's a big thing about TikTok. I'll fucking say TikTok because I hate those fuckers. TikTok now, in the United States, obviously, we give people more views for doing dumb shit. You know, like the guys doing the bloopers, the guys doing, you know, the girls, you know, taking sexy pictures and things like that. That gets likes over here in this country. In other countries, in China, in India, and things like that, you know what they get likes on? They get likes on when they build shit. people who do innovations, people who build structures, people who are like starting to become political parties, people who are starting to lead political parties, people who are starting to, you know, be mayors and things like that, or, you know, people who are the head of their class. That's what gets you more likes over there. So the algorithm that is set for us is meant for us to fail. Like you said, the war is already here and it's already happening, and people don't even see it, dude.
Oh man, I got people on my jiu-jitsu team that give me shit, you know, because they're like, dude, why you gotta send me all this negative stuff? You know, which I'm trying to like, hey, pay attention to this, you know, but it's like all this negative stuff, and then they want to send me like, you know, people getting kicked in the nuts, you know, videos and stuff like that, and to keep it funny, they want to laugh, but I'm like, you know, our jiu-jitsu is only going to get us so far, you know. It's I don't know, dude, but like we were saying before, though, there's nothing wrong. It's not really negative to take a SWOT analysis and know what your the threats are, what the weaknesses are, you know, and all that stuff, to be aware of what's going on, but also to redirect for ourselves when we lean on the faith, how much good things have been coming, you know, for us as well. There's ignorance is bliss, or there's, you know, peaceful, happy vigilance or whatever, I guess. I don't know. But hey, we're getting ready we're almost approaching 2 hours here, and I know we could go.
I felt like fucking 20 minutes, dude.
Yeah. I know we could go longer, but I want to get ready and start wrapping this up.
For sure.
Because I like to try and keep them under 2 hours. That way I can share stuff. But, you know, I'll definitely have you back anytime. And now we got each other's information, man. I'll share some of the other stuff, since I know I got somebody else that they'll appreciate what I send them. But before we get ready,
like a three-way podcast, like a conspiracy podcast between three vets and how we see the world now, specifically just on conspiracy shit.
No, I actually got some musicians that are into it too. So we're gonna do we're gonna get a bunch of people together and do a episode like that.
Hell yeah!
So I'll definitely keep you in the loop for that. But let me ask you a couple of questions I normally ask guests that I have on.
Sure.
Real quick. 3 people who've inspired you or you can credit for making you the person you are today.
Jesus Christ. My father, for sure. Obviously, I mean, he and I, you know, towards the end, really didn't have a great relationship before he left this planet, but a lot of his influence is still on me, and I really just try to impart. And I go back. I know I said Jesus first, but I really go back to my faith, and I really hold strong to my faith. And I'm faithful. I'm Roman Catholic. I know it's not a perfect religion, and we got pedophiles and all that shit. And I don't care. I believe in God, and I don't care what anybody says, and I will take that to the grave. And if they don't like me for it, then they can fuck off. But Padre Pio is Saint Pio is one of my people inspirations, because one of his quotes is "Pray more, worry less."
Amen. Nice. And then we touched a little bit about being fans of wrestling. Who was your favorite wrestler?
Fuck, man. Now you're fucking with me. Definitely when I was a smaller kid was Hulk Hogan. Dude, I loved Hulk Hogan so much. Like, yeah, brother. And then, even then, say your prayers, eat your vitamins. You know what I mean? Work out, say your prayers, eat your vitamins. You know what I mean? But I really was into The Rock.
Nice.
Just because I loved his swag. I loved how he was an asshole. I loved how, you know, he was just... So The Rock was my dude, obviously, until recently, but even still, like, I go back and forth with him, because he's still, like, he's kind of a 1%er, but he's like, you know, is he drinking the fucking Kool-Aid, or, you know, what is he? You know,
but Hollywood, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, The Rock was my dude, and Hulk Hogan was my dude as a younger guy.
Nice. And then any message you have for our military brothers and sisters currently serving overseas?
overseas, guys, take care of yourselves, man, and take care of each other. Love each other no matter what, and take care of each other even when you're out of uniform, because we all need it.
Yeah, nice.
And never, ever, 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 motherfucking ever have anybody look at you and make you try to feel bad for being an American.
Amen.
Fuck those dudes. Be proud that you're a fucking American, and be proud that you're with cultured Americans, because that's who we are. We have always been a fuck you nation from the start. How did we start this nation? It was 12 guys in a bar. They gave the fucking middle finger and said, fuck you guys. Yeah, who cares? Yeah, they were racist slave owners. That's fine. Not okay now, obviously, but back then they were pioneers to go ahead and break us into a new world. And ever since then, we continued giving the finger, and we will continue giving the fucking finger. We are the middle finger of the world.
Amen. And then for people that are like new to hearing about Dead by Wednesday and you and what you're up to, where can people go to support what you do?
Definitely find us on all of our social medias, deadbywednesday.com. We are on Instagram, Facebook, fucking MySpace, all the ones that you find. I mean, if your grandmother can find it, we're on it. If your fucking 4-year-old can find it, we're on it. Doesn't matter. We've spread our schmegma everywhere. So find us everywhere, man. And definitely smash the subscribe button. We could use all the support we need. We can use all the support we can get. We love performing for you guys, and we do it for the fans. We don't do it for us, man. We've been grinding, and we do it for you guys. The music we write and the messages that we put out is all for you guys. So we hope that you guys enjoy it.
Awesome, dude. I'll definitely be having you back, and we'll stay in touch in the meantime, because we definitely opened a lot of doors that we need to continue shaking up and talking about. But real quick, before I let you go, you mind doing one last favor?
Sure.
Cutting a promo ID for the show. Just introduce yourself, and you're listening to today's Boondoggle.
Absolutely. What's up, everybody? You're listening to your boy Esteban from your favorite band, DBW, and we are on Boondoggle Radio, my man.
Awesome, man. Esteban, thanks a lot, brother. Thank you for the time. And yeah, you too, man. I'm glad we got this done, and we'll be in touch, and hopefully you guys will come through Cleveland, and we'll get to see you play, and maybe have some time to get a roll in or something too.
Absolutely, dude. We roll through there. We just played Akron back in the summer, dude. So we actively roll through the Midwest a lot. So since me being in the band, we've been through the Midwest twice. So I would definitely love to catch up with you, and definitely love to train with you, my man.
Awesome, brother. Thanks a lot, man.
Take care, brother.
Bye.
Bye.